Okay, this is Orlando Wilson, and in this video slash podcast, I want to answer a question somebody sent me on a topic which could be classed as being a little bit controversial these days. And the question was, would I work with gay or transgender clients? My answer is, of course I would. I'll work with any client from whatever background, religion, gender, sexuality, culture, ethnicity, as long as they're professional, as long as they're respectful, and as long as they pay on time. I'm in business. Now, let me elaborate on this, and I'll highlight a few points as we go along. If you're in the close protection business, you need to be able to deal with people from all backgrounds. If you're in the commercial close protection business, if you have issues with a client's lifestyle, don't deal with them. Why? Because you're going to be spending a lot of time with that client. And this is it from a management point of view. I'll talk about this as we go along. If you're placing guys and girls with clients, you need to ensure they're going to be a good match for that client. In the comments section of this video, I'll put an article I wrote, a link to an article I wrote on sexual harassment, discrimination, etc. in the close protection business. And that will talk a little bit, touch on points that I'm not going to be able to include in this video due to length, etc. But understanding your client and understanding your staff and matching them properly is very, very important in the close protection business. It can mean you keeping a contract or losing a contract. Back down to the topic of dealing with gay and transgender clients. You know what? Students on a lot of my courses have ended up doing reconnaissances on gay bars, etc., in multiple locations. Why? Because I want to take the students outside their comfort zone. If I tell the guys especially, okay, tomorrow we got sparring in the morning, you're going to be doing some, we'll get the boxing gloves out, you're going to be sparring, doing some milling, everybody be up for it, right? They like that type of thing. Everybody wants to be a tough guy. Okay, it's funny to see the guys and girls' faces change when I give them locations they need to go and do reconnaissances, and they find out that they're gay bars, clubs, etc. Why do I do it? As I say, to take people outside their comfort zones. If I told the guys they're going milling, boxing, sparring, they're like, yes, they want to do it. But as soon as they find out they need to go to a gay bar, gay nightclub, they shit themselves. The majority shit themselves. Why? Because they're going way outside their comfort zone. From my perspective, if little things like that affect you, if you're that insecure that you cannot go to such a place, if you're that afraid to go to such a place, you know what? Close protection business isn't for you. Okay, I had a transgender student when I was in South Florida. I didn't realize she was transgender until she dropped some hints and then things began to click. Very professional, a little bit knowledgeable. When she was a he, she was in the US military. You know what? Respectful, professional, no worries. She was working in security business in South Florida. She was actually working at one of the gun ranges I used, which caused a few concerns for a couple of those other guys working at the gun range. Why? There were a lot of guys hitting on her, and their main concern was they didn't want some gun geek that's hitting on somebody they think is a gun chick, and all of a sudden they realized that she used to be a he, and they didn't want people to get too emotional on a gun range where they're carrying guns, surrounded by guns and ammunition, because things get a little bit out of hand. But apart from that, that was the only concern I think anybody had with her. So again, that's a little bit of a South Florida gun range management problem. But again, it's something you need to consider these days. I had, again, South Florida, one of my clients there, top end, fashion client, retail client. They used to have a lot of gay guys working at the venue, and they used to have gay parties. My main concern when providing services for gay clients is ensuring that I supply them with people that are not homophobic. I can think of a few times, how can I put it? Quite a few times I had to go to the venue and speak to the management there, one guy in particular that understood things, and tell him to tell his staff to stop, let me say harassing, to stop being too playful with my guys. Why? Because sometimes things got a little bit over the top and my guys got a little bit defensive. But again, the people I had working for me knew the place there was a lot of homosexual people working there, and my opinion was, well, you want to work there? No worries. If you're secure enough in your sexuality, what do you care? Deal with it. If people get a little bit too playful, then deal with it. It's up to you to deal with it. You're getting paid, you're an adult, deal with it. But a few times I had to go and speak to the management to tell their people, please don't be too playful. There's a big difference between what I would class as people being playful to people being harassing. And we did have one issue there. It's in I think I wrote about it in the article I mentioned about sexual harassment, etc., where one of the managers was very much over the top, very much sexually aggressive towards one of my guys. The first red flag with that manager was when I fired somebody. I fired a guy because he was, the guy I fired was cheating on his wife. And his wife knew he was cheating, so the only time he had to cheat on her with his girlfriend was when he was going to and fro work. And he was very, very late one day when I knew his girlfriend was leaving the country for an extended period of time. So I take it, he decided to take a few hours off work to go see his girlfriend before he came to work. I found out about this when I put in the invoice for the job, and they come back saying, well, so-and-so was late on a certain day. Nobody reported that the guy was late on that day, and I take it was the manager that was very disrespectful to one of my other guys that was covering for this guy. Why? Because in retrospect, and a few things fell into place afterwards, the guy we think was cheating on his wife was also having an affair with the male manager at this venue. So he was going in all directions. When I fired this guy, the manager got very, very defensive, speaking up for him, very much over the top for a security person being fired from a venue. So there was a few red flags there. Anyway, after that incident, this manager at this venue sent one of my guys who was off duty at the time, working somewhere else, a message saying he would like him to join him and his boyfriend for a threesome, which was OTT out the way. It was disrespectful. That incident, if you read the article below, the article I mentioned about that's on my blog, that incident ended up coming back and, as we say, poking that manager in the eye. Now, I'm sure some of you listening to this is saying, well, that's sexual harassment, you could sue them, etc. You know what? If you get into such arguments with clients, you're going to lose the client. And that was one person that was being a pain in the ass out of a lot of other guys that were just being playful, joking around, people being people, banter from the British perspective. And again, I spoke to an attorney after this, when that one incident happened. And the attorney was like, there's no way you're going to get a sexual harassment case to stick against a gay guy in South Florida at that time, on Miami Beach. And I'm sure these days it's worse. So there's no way a judge will give a judgment in your favor. They're not going to give a judgment to a straight guy against a gay guy in Miami Beach. That's the politics. Why? Because they want the gay community there. That's it. They don't want to be offensive. So this is where a lot of the sexual harassment cases, they're very, very difficult to stick. So to sum up, when I work with gay clients, I'll work with anybody as long as they're respectful, respect the boundaries, and they pay on time. And that's the way you need to be. That needs to be your perspective if you want to seriously make money in the close protection business. Discrimination, it's BS. There's no need for it. As long as people are respectful and they pay on time, they're the clients that you want.